Hey guys, today we're going to look at projectile motion problems and vertical motion problems, which are application of quadratics, which is the chapter that we are currently in. This is not in Packet 5. This is a separate handout. And as you'll notice, some things are already filled in. So you may want to pause your video and get those notes real quick. The formula h equals negative 16t squared plus vt plus s is used for an object that is in motion. The variables represent the following. H is the height of the object after it is in motion. T is the time in motion in seconds, and that can be written as t or x. V is the object's initial velocity, initial being what's happening at the start. S represents the initial height in feet. These coefficients are derived from the value of half the force of gravity on an object, which is 32 feet per second or 9.8 meters per second. Quadratic application problems usually yield two different solutions, which often consist of one positive and one negative solution. Since time cannot be negative, the negative answer will be extraneous and should be eliminated. Remember, these equations can be solved using graphing, factoring, completing the square, or quadratic formula, and I will tell you that factoring and quadratic formula are used most often. In some cases, the problem will state the formula that is to be used. In other cases, you'll have to create your own equation based on the information in the problem. Be sure your answer contains a unit of measure. Very important. When an object is dropped, the initial velocity v equals 0. The following examples, and this is really problems, I believe it's 1 and 2, all have an initial velocity equal to 0. Question 1, a box falls off a warehouse shelf from a height of 16 feet. The function h equals negative 16t squared plus 16 gives the height h in feet of the box after t seconds. When does the box hit the floor? All right, hitting the floor indicates that h is equal to 0 because the floor has no height. So 0 is equal to negative 16t squared plus 16. 16t squared is equal to 16. Divide by 16 and t squared is equal to 1. So t is plus or minus 1. Because it is time, it must be positive. So it will hit the floor after 1 second. Here's your unit of measure and your answer. A window washer drops a wet sponge from a height of 64 feet. After how many seconds does the sponge land on the ground? Again, our height is equal to 0. So 0 is equal to negative 16 t squared plus 64. There's your initial height. 16t squared plus equals 64. Divide by 16, t squared is equal to 4, t is plus or minus 2, and t is going to equal 2 seconds. A dirt bike launches off a ramp that is 8 feet tall. That's your initial height. The upward velocity is 20 feet per second. There's v. So write the function that models the height h in feet of the dirt after t seconds. So h equals negative 16t squared plus 20t plus 8. After how many seconds does the dirt bike land? That means h is equal to 0. So we're going to factor out a negative 4. And because we cannot factor that expression, we are going to use the quadratic formula. So t equals, and we need a, b, and c. So a is 4, b is negative 5, and c is negative 2. So negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And using your calculator to simplify, you get 5 plus or minus the square root of 57 over 8. Now, we're going to use our calculator because we have a real world application. So 5 plus the square root of 57 over 8 gives you an answer of approximately 1.6. 5 minus the square root of 57 over 8 gives you a negative value, which means we don't use it. So our answer, t, is approximately 1.6 seconds. Remember, when you are talking about a real world application, most of those will not use negative numbers. Number 4, same kind of question. An athlete throws a discus from an initial height of 6 feet with an initial vertical velocity of 46 feet per second. Write the equation for A, and after how many seconds does it hit the ground? That means height is 0 for part B. So A, h equals negative 16t squared plus 46t plus 6. I'm going to factor out a negative 2 here. And I'm going to use the x method and factor 8 times negative 3 in your middle and divide by number in front of t squared. So negative 24 and 1 give you negative 23, and this one simplifies to be negative 3. So 0 equals negative 2 times t minus 3 times 8t plus 1. This is going to give us a negative value. So t is equal to 3 seconds. Again, don't forget that unit of measure. Number 5, a football player kicks a football 2 feet above the ground with an upward velocity of 75 feet per second. The function h equals negative 16t squared plus 75t plus 2 gives the height h in feet of the football after t seconds. When is the football 50 feet above the ground? That means height is equal to 50. So this one's going to look just a little bit different. Height is 50 equals negative 16t squared plus 75t plus 2. Set it equal to 0. And that does not factor, so we are going to use the quadratic formula. And t equals negative 75 plus or minus the square root of 75 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times negative 48, all over 2 times negative 16. When you use your calculator to do that math, negative 75 plus the radical over negative 32, negative 75 minus the radical over negative 32. The negatives here and here are going to cancel out because 2 negatives make a positive. So you will actually use both values here, and you will get t is approximately 0.8 or 3.9 seconds. And I will encourage you to use your calculator and make sure that those values check out just to ensure that you are typing them in correctly. This is a great place for a questions box. If you have questions, make sure that you include those and let me know in class so that we can get those answered. I hope you all have a great day.